إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's been a minute since I've made a reflective video or any reminder for that matter. I've been pretty sick lately. May Allah heal all of our Muslim brothers and sisters throughout the world who are dealing with sicknesses, whether chronic or seldom, and may He make it a purification for all of us. Ameen. So the purpose of this video today is just to talk a little bit about something that happened in my family recently. And I'm just going to get it out there. Since I've been Muslim for the last 5 years, alhamdulillah, I just hit my solar calendar anniversary for 5 years, not too long ago, January 24th. Alhamdulillah, best thing that's ever happened to me. Around this exact same time, my Uncle Larry, who was one of the uncles I was very close to, I didn't see him that much growing up, but every time I did see him, I really loved Uncle Larry. He was very special. He was the one who got me into playing video games, which, by the way, is a waste of time. If you have kids that play them, try to get them off of it. It, in my opinion, is from shaitan. People say, oh, we balance it, we do this. Look, if you see a difference when your kids are playing video games and then when they're not and they turn into like these evil little demons, the video games are, they take away the discipline and the respect. It does change the brain composition. The video games do. It's extremely addictive, especially some of these new video games with the flashing lights and everything flashing. And I believe it's detrimental to a person's short-term and long-term memory. And it is, all in all, it will hurt them rather than help them. And I really, just me from being a video game addict and seeing all that video games have done for me and to my friends' families and stuff, I highly advise you to start weaning off the video games and highly limiting it, because I believe that it's, almost as bad as a'udhu billah, drugs, because it's an addiction. And all the kids I know who play video games, they have the best akhlaq to their parents. And I'm just going to say this, because this is why I'm putting it on the same level as drugs. At-ta'a al-walidain and birr al-walidain are like that's much higher than not drinking alcohol. If you're disobeying your parents and you're being disrespectful to your parents, that is a greater kabira. It's actually, the scholars have said that disobedience and disrespect to one's parents is a greater sin, even though alcohol is al-khaba'ith, it's like the mother of all filth, and it leads to all other kinds of bad things. If you drink alcohol, then you'll most likely be rude to your parents. But just pound for pound, weight for weight, disrespecting one's parents is greater and far more of an itham. It's more of a sin in the sight of Allah than drinking alcohol and doing drugs. So if you think this, and if you see video games as making your children disobey the parents, they act badly when they don't have their video games, then just remember that you're enabling them to sin by disrespecting you and disobeying you. So it's just something to think about. Wallahu ta'ala alam. This is just my opinion from something that I've seen, knowing it firsthand. And alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. So my Uncle Larry, he passed away, and he is the first person in my family. I mean, I think my Aunt Barnaby died a couple years ago. Wasn't very close to her, but she, he was the first one to really die, and he was my mom's half brother. So it doesn't matter who it was related to, but he was a really nice guy. I saw him before I went to Egypt to go study, and he ate with me and my wife, and he was always, he was pretty cool about me being a Muslim. He isn't like the rest of my mother's family. who didn't want to see me or do anything with me. He was like, if it's good for you, Brandon, it's good. And I was able to tell him my story about, my conversion, and he was like, you know what? He's like, I believe it's from God, and I think, at least from what I've heard from his son, is that he didn't die as a believer in Christianity, which, not that gives me any hope, because obviously if he didn't die with La ilaha illallah, that's not a good sign. But from the Dawah, I did Allah on him. Maybe he said something that was good for him on his deathbed, and inshallah khair. That is all I can hope for. But most likely, we have to assume that he died a death of Jahiliyyah without accepting Islam, because there was no indication for anyone to say it. And unfortunately, unless there's any other information to prove otherwise, then he will be in the hellfire, and that is up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so the whole situation was very gut-wrenching for me. So the Prophet Muhammad was very torn up, because we're allowed to, even though we have wala and bara, we have wilaya and wala for that which Allah loves, and we have bara from that which Allah hates. However, for those who do not fight against us and those who are actually good to us, even if they be from the kuffar and from the non-Muslims, we can still hold an affection towards them. And so my affection towards my Uncle Larry really did hurt my heart, because it made me realize how unfortunate I am for not going and giving him more advice, spending more time with him, just being a nephew while he lived up here in Frisco. And I mean, I've been extremely busy. I don't even hang out with my friends. So, I'm just with my close family, either with my wife's family or with my parents, if I ever visit family, just because, these last couple of years, alhamdulillah, Allah has made He's given me a very interesting time of things, alhamdulillah. And so, it makes me regret I realized the finality of it, and it made me think a lot about, because I always thought, gosh, I don't want my parents to die without accepting Islam. Obviously, we want all of our families to accept Islam, us converts and us who are born Muslim, who have non-Muslim family and friends. But this made it real. I can't talk to him anymore. I can't help Larry see the truth. Will I be questioned about not giving him more information? Allahu alam, I hope not. But I might. Allah might question me why I didn't take more time. And so I want this to be a reminder for those of you who do have family to keep being a good example and throwing bits about Islam here and there. Obviously, no one's saying go to your family and say become Muslim now or else, because everything is also with hikmah. And for our da'wah to be accepted, it's to be done the way the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet ﷺ did da'wah, and he invited people in a very good way. And so, not saying that it's for sure not going to be accepted if you do it the wrong way, because all of our intentions and all our efforts, if they be good efforts, inshallah, will be rewarded. But the best way and the most accepted way is doing da'wah the way of the Prophet ﷺ. And so, may Allah give us understanding, because the Prophet ﷺ gave da'wah different ways. And in Medina, his da'wah was very different. So may Allah make us of those who are able to give da'wah the way he did in Medina and every other situation. I mean, for those who have understanding, inshallah, you will know what I'm talking about. So, I wanted to just make us understand that Allah says it in the Quran, وَكُلُّ نَفْسٍ ذَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ. Every soul will taste death. There's nothing we can do to get away from it. We can't stop it for anyone else, and nobody else can stop it for us, except for the one who was never created and never born, and that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, glorified and exalted be He. He will never die. He did never die, as the mushrikeen claim, and He can't die. He cannot die. It would negate His being Allah. He would no longer be Allah if He was to die. And that is a weak God. As Muslims, we do not believe in a weak God. Our God is strong, and anyone who has a God that dies has a weak God, and a God unworthy of following. May Allah give us understanding. I mean, so as every soul, everything created will taste death. Everything will go through phases. And it is incumbent upon us to give every single thing its right. Whether it be the rights of the kinship, the rights of feeding that which is incapable, taking care of the animals, giving nasiha, which is sincere advice to those who are in need of it, or giving dawah and giving this message to our family. And so, in this wake of the death of my Uncle Larry, may Allah deal with him justly, I just wanted to remind everyone that you don't know how soon those people who are close to you could die. And if they're not praying, if they're not practicing Islam fully as we're supposed to, know that we may be questioned about these things that they did while we were knowing. And so I advise you, as much as I advise myself, to give the best advice, to forbid the evil and call to the good before it's too late, because when we are in our graves, brothers and sisters, we will have one companion, and that one companion will be either our good deeds or our bad deeds. And if it's our bad deeds, then it will come with a filthy, stinking smell. And it will be so putrid and rotten that anything alive, if it were to see it, it would die instantly from the fear. And for those who will be accompanied by their good deeds, those who believed in Allah and committed righteous actions, they will be accompanied by a beautiful man who smells, or woman, who smells amazing with beautiful musk. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of the latter and give us understanding of this religion, and may He make us listen to the best of advices and follow it. May He make us of those who do not die as disbelievers, and may He make us of those who die submitting our will fully and completely to Him. Ameen. أقول قولي هذا استغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.